first slide, we looked at applicable decision models was the first question we had to answer. The finance department, they obviously wanted, based on the article, wanted to cut manpower in order to save money, cut costs, especially after 9/11 with the downturn in ticket sales based on the terrorist attacks and people's fear of flying. So Parker, the CEO of Southwest, really had to take a lot of these decisions into heart. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Ed Weppel. So I wanted to talk to you about the employee-centered approach from Southwest Airlines. And basically what Parker did was really take a unique approach outside of what the industry standard was, which Tom talked about, and that was the cutting and slashing, the financial view. He really took a cognitive approach, an effective conflict approach, if you will, that would allow him to move toward better relationships with the employees in creating and sustaining that culture of trust and motivation, and create an awareness and improve morale. So if you go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So I'm going to introduce this particular slide, which is the path to success in decision making, and then I'm going to segue over to Julio. Yep. So basically, just want to look at a couple things here at the bottom of the slide. The first, the constructive conflict. If you look, we're looking at financial, economic, and procedural fairness. The second slide, which is the addition, that's people and culture. Julio, if you can take it over, please.
So if you look at the path of decision success making, in the previous slide you would see that when you want to make this decision, the cognitive conflict has to be high and the effective has to be low. But in this case it was the opposite. Southwest Airlines was very effective, had a very effective conflict where they're taking care of people, they want to make sure that they're fair in the process, all that. So we switched this into a high cognitive conflict and a high affective conflict. Then with the shared understanding and the commitment, it was based on people and culture, and they both were high. They were shared understanding that they did need to downsize, but they also need to take care of other people and do it in a fair way. And then that, when you put the constructive conflict and the comprehensive consensus, and they're both in the high end, then what you do is you end up with a decision success, where the decision is high in quality and implementation effectiveness is also high in the end of the project. Next slide.
When we're talking about the actual leadership of Parker throughout this entire process, we really find some distinctive characteristics that qualify under authentic leadership. There's actually a YouTube video where he's talking to a university, and he's speaking about the entire transition, how everything was going and how they were making their decisions through the process. And you can almost hear him getting choked up in his voice when he's talking about the possibility of layoffs and how employees were willing to help by taking pay cuts. And it really is a true testament to his awareness or self-awareness of the organization and the culture, and not only the people within Southwest, but as well as customers that were writing support letters and even sending money to Southwest, which is unheard of customers who will send money to a company to support it. There was a lot of ethical and moral perspectives that he held true when he was talking about them having pay cuts. The board and himself took pay cuts before they even considered anybody else in the company taking pay cuts, and so that's a huge deal. Relational transparency, his communication and openness with the employees and the leadership was very transparent throughout. Never did he make a decision without consulting his advisory, without talking to the board. This was not one CEO trying to protect their own salary or trying to protect their own position or even trying to protect their stock market. It was somebody who was trying to protect the entire company for the sake of the people, and you generally only see that in an authentic leader. And then the balanced processing, decisions only after taking all of that into case. This was a tragedy that had never happened to this industry, and so they really had no way of knowing, how would we, there was three or 4 days where there was no flight whatsoever. So for an airline industry to suffer 4 days of no income, and they were the only company that were offering 100% money back for those who were missing flights or they're delayed. every other company was trying to wrap them up, so.
We also looked at emotional intelligence, because not all the facets of authentic leadership apply, but then you can tack in the emotional intelligence aspects, such as social awareness, which was big, because not only did the CEO and the board members understand what needed to be done, the employees did. As Anthony pointed out, the employees wanted to take pay cuts. But also, not just in the pay cut department, the employees were doing things outside of their bounds, outside of their realm as employees, to help customers, to motivate customers, to be there for customers when customers were ill. And Parker, in this video that's been mentioned, talked about that in detail, talked about when routine customers had a heart attack, and the employees helped those customers out by taking care of their car that was in the parking lot and whatnot. But also that, the CEO and the board members. It could have been very easy, and we see this today, where board members don't take pay cuts, but the employees end up taking pay cuts. In this instance, the CEO and the board members took pay cuts so they didn't have to reduce the pay of the employees, which therefore boosts morale, etc. Self-management, again, Parker and the team, they really focused on themselves internally as leadership. Rather than beating up the employees, they focused on doing what they needed to do themselves to get the mission done, i.e. the pay cuts. Next slide. So influencing factors.
Go ahead.
Some of the factors that they looked at was the culture. They want to make sure that the culture was continue to be a positive culture. Mainly their decision was based on their employees. They were looking at the people, how to protect them as best as possible. The anthropology of selfless, making sure that the tradition continue. They look at all the artifacts that they have, but also the sense of urgency when it comes down to the decision-making process. Even though they took their time to make all these decisions, there was that sense of urgency. They also look at the economic and procedural fairness throughout the process, and they focus not only on the profits, but a well-balanced focus between what the company needed and also what the employees needed.
The last slide here is basically our group decision. We'll just kind of wrap it up because we're right at the very end. Basically, Parker and his company stuck to the core competencies: people, economic factors, and maintain the culture. He was trying to keep that whole aspect together. So in our perspective is don't change anything. The decision was solid because it was based on previous knowledge and the commitment to his people and the company's well-being. So with that, we conclude our presentation. Gentlemen,